So I wanted to push record because there's just so many things that you say, John, that are just like really brilliant. And it's just like when it kind of comes through, it's just kind of like, I don't know. So I was like, let's just start here.
Yes.
So yeah, so I'm with John Wheeler. If you've not met John, he's a well, I guess during the day he's a therapist, and at night he puts on a cape and he's something different. So maybe you want to give like a little bit of background first of like who the heck are you and like how did you get into being an Access Consciousness certified facilitator?
Yeah. So I am, oh, my voice changed again. I'm fighting a cold and my voice changed now that we hit record.
Yeah.
Um, so I am a licensed therapist in Ohio. And at the same time that I was doing that degree, I also started doing Access Consciousness classes and got certified as an Access Consciousness certified facilitator. And before that, I did Reiki and was a Reiki master teacher. And I've studied energy work ever since I was a sophomore in high school. One person introduced me to crystals, and then I was sold for the rest of my life. So, yeah, I do counseling as a day job, and then I also do access consciousness classes on the side, and I do telecalls and pretty much anything.
And if you also pretty frequently like will if I have a question as I'm facilitating a class about like the manuals or like things like that, you help to assist, with writing some of the manuals for Access Consciousness, which is very cool.
Yes, I do. At this point, I'm doing most of the manuals for Access, with the exception of some of the specialty classes. And then I also work with Access's publishing company. So I've been doing it since 2016, and I am overseeing and have my hands in a lot of things. So usually, I also am what they call an oracle, which is someone who sits in classes and types out what they say. So I am constantly in the know when it comes to the material of access consciousness.
Yeah, and I think that I don't know, like what I've realized whenever I take a class with John is that like I know that something is, I know that when I choose it, that I'm choosing something different. Like I'm choosing to create something different in my life. So there's just this space that gets created in these classes with that I take with you that opens up a door to a different possibility. So um, you were talking about some body things happening with your body. So what I kind of became aware of after this last class was just how much it changed my relationship with my body. Maybe you could talk a little bit about like what is a body process and like what can be created with some of these classes.
Yeah. So the access body processes, there's over probably over like 62 or something at this point. We have a very long history of them. Some of them newer, some are older, and then we have a whole set of things called body reference materials. And basically, the way they show up is generally Gary or Dane, who are the co-founders of Access. Usually, one of them will end up sick or have some body things. They'll facilitate each other, and out of that, will they'll be aware of some energy, and then that energy will then become a body process. So I think it was during like right before COVID, I think Gary had shingles, and we ended up with like 30 new body processes and threw out half the old manuals and like started fresh again.
Hmm.
And then in COVID, we got more processes because obviously all bodies were screaming during COVID. Um, and now they just recently released, I think, two more this week that I got emails and I'm updating manuals and whatever. I'm like, there's so many changes. So what they are, because that's where people get stuck with them a little bit. It's like, well, what are they and why do I want them? So these are energies that are present that are designed to create a different relationship with your body or to facilitate an awareness. So the premise of access body classes is that your body is an essential part of getting awareness from the reality that you live in, from the world that we live in. We live on the earth. Our bodies and the earth are made of the same things. So there's just a lot of awarenesses that we can gain when we acknowledge that we're an infinite being that's choosing to have a body this lifetime for whatever reason, and then actually being able to have communion with it to get information. Um, so, like I said, a lot of times they get sick and then a body process comes from it. Your body will create things as you're asking for awareness. Um, some of the body classes we've tried to do, Catherine's hosted. The last one I canceled, and I was like, it feels so weird to cancel last minute, but we need to cancel. And then the very next day, Catherine was sick. And I was like, okay, I was just aware. In this last class, I was like, uh, I feel like someone's not coming or something's missing. Like it just felt weird. And then it turned out that a participant had the wrong date. So there wasn't someone that was not going to be there. Like someone was missing. So all of those things I would say are feelings. Like this feels weird or this feels strange, which is what your body does. It feels. My dog is going to start barking at it. Speaking of bodies.
Yeah, I was like, I wonder what she's here to contribute to the conversation. Um, what I'm getting with it, because like, you know, when you talk about that, it's almost like there's this like, you know, because when I think about those things, it's like, oh, that's like psychic ability. But where in that are we like not including our body? Because our body actually does give us a lot of the information that we can then use to interpret. So,
Yeah.
yeah, but it's what sort of ways do you find that you can interpret some of the meanings, or, you know, not meanings, but you know what I mean, like the information that you're receiving?
Yeah. Well, a lot of times it all comes down to asking your body for something, or your body's asking you for something. So, like I was telling Catherine before we come on, I've been sick, fighting a cold for the last couple of weeks, and I've been really, really tired.
Mm.
But the weather has changed. The earth is going through changes. Our country's going through changes. There's lots of points of views and things out in the world. And so, as someone who probably watching this is asking for more awareness or to be something different in the world or to create possibilities in the world, with all of that, you also get more awareness. As you get more awareness, your body also gains more awareness and tries to give you information because your body is like strongly connected to the world.
Hmm.
So if you have a headache, things that you sometimes ask is one is it yours? Or are you aware of something? But it also could be, are you aware of the earth? Um, does your body require something? Like maybe you're dehydrated, or maybe you need some sugar, or maybe you need some salt, or you're lacking a vitamin of some sort. But we quickly go, like when something goes wrong, per se,
Yeah.
we immediately go to fixing the thing. So it's like, oh, I have a cold, I need to take medicine, I need to fix it, rather than, oh, I have a cold, what's going on?
Yeah, it's kind of like slapping on a Band-Aid instead of
Right.
actually looking at like, why are you bleeding?
Or also, like for me, I'm talking about facilitating body classes more. And so, am I surprised that I'm getting colds and getting sick and being tired? No, because what am I asking for? More awareness of bodies.
Hmm.
And most of the people that I currently have immediate connection to are sick. So naturally, my body is going to go, oh, everyone's sick. Or if you're a healer, you're someone who likes to work on people and their bodies. We like to make people feel good. And so sometimes at the expense of ourselves, we'll take on some of that, which is where the access tool, who does this belong to, comes into play a lot, especially if you're someone who does sessions with people.
Yeah. Yeah, totally. What do you know, what I get with a lot of people is that they kind of like are looking at, okay, well, what are the differences between the different body processes, you know, because I think that for a lot of people, they're still in that like transactional reality or something like where this equals this. And what I found with the processes is that you might have a process that is called like, I don't know, correcting vision or something, but it might show up in your body or, you know, like as something completely different. So maybe you want to speak on that a little bit.
Yeah. Well, when people read the processes and then they want to go to result, which is what that's how the world has trained us.
Mm.
we do something to get a result, or we take a pill to get a result. We exercise for a result. Studying materials for school, you study to get an A on the test. So everything we do here is related to results. But with the body processes, there are a lot of them where we don't give a description of what they do.
Yeah.
And the reason is because it's just an energy. So if you go into the situation with the point of view of what the energy is going to do, you're a creator of your world. So the energy will do exactly what you want.
Hmm.
So if you have the point of view that the process, like correcting vision, it's only about the eyes and your physical vision, you could lose the possibility of seeing possibilities.
Mm-hmm.
Or correcting vision could be that you start to see things correctly as what they are instead of what you think they are.
Mm. Yeah.
Excuse me. I keep muting because I don't want to cough in your all's ears.
Yeah.
It's very loud. But it is a lot of those result-oriented things. So then it limits what the processes can do. So for the class coming up on April 19th, the one process is called convergence of unconsciousness and consciousness to create the mutation of embodiment as a communion that accesses all capacities beyond this reality.
Mm.
So with that big, giant amount of words, the one thing that I can talk about is convergence of unconsciousness and consciousness, which is the idea that if we're an allowance of unconsciousness and anti-consciousness, that it allows for unconscious and consciousness to meet.
Mm.
Generally, what happens is consciousness prevails. So what we try to do with our heads is separate and label. This is unconscious, this is conscious. So then we create a separation, which now allows for polarity. But if we actually converge them and allow them to meet and meld,
Mm.
something new shows up.
Yeah.
So that's the energy part of it. But what does that have to do with the mutation of embodiment as communion that accesses capacities from this reality? Who knows?
Yeah. Yeah.
Or the second process for that class is melting of all reflexive realities locked in as a structure for the reactive state of being on planet Earth. Now, that one, to me, logically, I could have more of a sense of it because reflexive realities are where we have a reflex to people. So
Yeah.
this one's literally looking at our reactive states, our immediate response to things, and how that's how we are here. When someone gives you information, you're supposed to have an appropriate reaction. So in this one, it's like, okay, to be on Earth, you have to have that. So what happens if we melt all of that? So you can get an idea of living in your world, how it looks, but what does it do with your body? How does it affect the body?
Yeah. Yeah.
So, and that's where these things are cool because we give it words because most of us, in order to get an energy, the difference in energy, we use words because that's all words are. Is context of an energy. So we're using the words to give you some indication to be able to put your hand somewhere on the body and ask for the thing, but the result is what we don't know, which
Yeah.
is where people have a hard time choosing body process classes sometimes because we can't tell you, oh, if you do this, this will be the result.
Yeah. What I find with it,
Beyond saying, like
yeah.
you were saying, I can tell you if you take the class, there's a possibility for something to change for you and your body. What
Yeah.
is it? I don't know.
Yeah. I have no idea. I always know, like, in choosing it, something is going to change. But a lot of times, even the thing that I'm like, what I know that when I'm going in my brain to like, oh, this is going to change, I know that I'm creating a limitation. So it's kind of like I just, it's kind of like getting out of your own way and really just allowing like all the possibilities to show up, which is to me like it's just really something different and cool. What I was thinking about when you were talking about the different body processes was something that's really been up in my world has been like, to create beyond this reality, we have to choose beyond it. And so these body processes, for me, like there's a space where like consciously we expand, and I feel like our bodies need to go on that ride too. And the body processes just to really create that gap, like
Yeah.
to kind of move through that. So maybe you could talk about just some of your own experiences with the body processes before we
Yeah.
end this out.
Well, and that you just kind of said exactly why body classes exist, because in the history of Access, they were a part of the choice for possibilities classes or the foundation classes. So they would talk, and as they're talking, they would do body processes. And then what showed up with that is Gary realized, the bodies have a demand for these body processes, and when we go to a class to talk, people aren't running the processes, they're talking,
Mm.
which makes me laugh that the more I try to talk and describe it, the more I'm having a hard time talking. Awareness. Um, but as those things took place, you went, okay, the bodies need their own space. And the only way to get people to be present with their body and change was to separate the body processes out. So, I mean, for me, I've done lots of 3-day body classes and I've been to a lot of ABCs, and I don't know that I can come up with exact examples of what's changed because I'm not sure exactly what results I've had, but I know there are certain instances, like I had a big bump or something on my tailbone once, and I came to you and we swapped body processes, and the very next day it was gone
Yeah. Yeah, that was very cool.
after having it for like 2 weeks.
Yeah. But I also get that like with it that there's some things that are still unraveling, and so it's kind of like and also it's an energy. Like how do we put words to those sort of things sometimes, right? It's sometimes it's that.
Which is, again, I'm like laughing on the inside because I was talking to you fine before we started recording, and now my whole throat feels like it's shutting,
Yeah.
which is something that we talk about with facilitating these body classes is words don't always give you what you require. And oftentimes when we try to force words, which is what I'm doing because we're doing a video, is like we won't be able to talk, or we might lose our voice before the class, or whatever, because it gets us to be silent.
Mm,
And if you ever sit in a room by yourself in silence, the only person with you is your body.
yeah.
So that's like for me with these processes, I guess the thing it's getting easier to talk, that's funny. The thing that's been changing for me with my body is being able to actually listen to and communicate with it.
Hmm.
Actually acknowledge that you have one, because we're trained to judge our bodies, not enjoy them. Most things talk about changing the body, not embracing it. What Access body process are about is, especially these 1-day classes, give yourself 1 day to just nurture your body with whatever processes that class is offering and see what shows up. We create a different relationship.
Boom. I love that, John. Thank you so much for this conversation. And the invitation that I'm so excited that you're going to be coming to Dublin in April. We're going to have a body process class with 2 body processes. You could choose both or just one. So it typically is like 4 hours in the morning or 4 hours in the afternoon, and then we take a break in the afternoon. So thank you so much, John, and I appreciate you, and I'm so excited to see you coming up.
Awesome. See you guys there.